I can't remember my granddaughter's name. That sentence played on a loop in my head all that afternoon. I sat by the window, a pen in my hand, a leather-bound notebook in front of me, but whenever I tried to write something down, the words I once knew so well simply vanished. I remember her chubby cheeks, her love for chocolate chip cookies. I remember how she used to call me Granny, drawing out the word like she was singing. But her name, just a name, and yet I couldn't bring it back to my lips. Have you ever felt like you were standing in your own home, and everything around you suddenly felt unfamiliar? The armchair where you used to read. The framed birthday photo on the shelf. Even the voice on the phone, it sounds familiar, but you can't quite place it. I'm 74 years old. And 3 weeks ago, my doctor looked me in the eye and said, "You're showing early signs of dementia, Alzheimer's." I smiled at him, a smile of someone who thought they were ready to hear those words. But when I got home and looked into the mirror, I saw something terrifying. I was disappearing. Not dying. Not leaving. Just melting away from myself. So I made a decision. I would write. Every day, I would write something, an image, a dream, a name. Like lighting tiny candles in the dark, hoping to hold on to some kind of light. I don't know how long I'll be able to write. But if there comes a day when I'm no longer myself, at least I'll still be here. In these pages. My name is Margaret Elkins. My family calls me Maggie, a short, sweet Southern name. I live alone in a small wooden house in Asheville, North Carolina. My husband, Thomas, built it with his own hands more than 40 years ago, when he was still strong and full of life. He passed away 9 years ago from pancreatic cancer. I never moved because every brick, every door in this house still holds a piece of him. Somewhere on that old wooden porch, his whistle still lingers when he watered the plants. I hear it every summer afternoon. I have 2 children, 1 son, 1 daughter, and 3 grandkids. They usually visit on weekends, bringing with them the scent of sunscreen and the sound of laughter. My favorite is the youngest, the daughter of my daughter, a little girl with tight curls and eyes that sparkle when she smiles. I remember that smile so clearly. But her name, again, fades like morning mist under the sun. I used to be a high school English teacher. I loved words, poetry, notebooks that smelled like fresh paper. I used to have a sharp memory. I could read something once and remember it for years. Birthdays, phone numbers, lines from Whitman, all of it used to live vividly in my mind like a well-organized library. But lately, things have started to blur. It began with small things, forgetting to turn off the stove, calling my kids the wrong names, dropping a glass and not remembering why. And then one morning, I looked into the mirror and didn't recognize the woman staring back at me. That face, it was mine, but the eyes were searching for something forever lost. I was scared. Not of dying, but of fading from my own memory. Scared of the day I'd sit across from my granddaughter and not remember why she was holding my hand. Scared of the moment I forget I was ever Margaret Elkins, wife of Thomas, mother of Ellie and Paul, grandmother to 3 bright little souls who shine like June sunshine. So I began to write as if I were laying down stones in a forest, hoping that one day, if I got lost, I could find my way back. There is a quiet fear that lives in me. It doesn't come like thunder. It doesn't haunt like darkness. It ticks softly, steadily, like a clock in the night. No one sees it, but I hear it. Clear. Close. Constant. Tick. I forget breakfast. Talk. I forget the lullaby I once sang to her. Tick. I forget the way to church. Talk. I forget who I am. Some mornings, I wake up to sunlight pouring through the curtains just like always, but my mind is blank like a fresh page. Not clean. Empty. Have you ever felt like you're still here, but just a shadow? You still smile. Still talk. Still nod at the right moments. But inside, the connections are already slipping away. I'm afraid of becoming just a shell. Neat, polite, presentable. But hollow inside. No longer Maggie, who once sang carols at Christmas, told bedtime stories, and baked golden apple pies in the fall. I'm afraid of sitting at the dinner table, surrounded by laughter, children running about, and not remembering why it makes me happy. Afraid that one day, when my daughter says, "Mom," I'll turn away because I think she's calling someone else. I'm not afraid of the illness. Not afraid of pills. Not afraid of dying. I'm afraid of only one thing: being forgotten by my own mind. No one can save me if I lose myself. So I write. I write to hold myself together. Each word is an anchor, a lifeline, a drop of ink that proves I'm still here. I still exist. I am still me. And if there ever comes a day when I no longer know who I am, maybe a page in this notebook will whisper back to me, "My name is Lila, Granny. I'm your little ray of sunshine." It was a Saturday afternoon, nothing out of the ordinary. Sunlight stretched across the porch steps. The breeze carried the scent of freshly cut grass. White curtains swayed like they were breathing. I was making coconut butter cookies, Lila's favorite, for our little Sunday family gathering. I remember getting the flour, the butter, the eggs. I remember the turquoise ceramic bowl my mother gave me. And then, there was a blank space. I couldn't remember the next step. I stood frozen in the kitchen, a spoon in my hand, butter melting into my palm. I stared at the recipe taped to the wall, a piece of paper I'd put up 10 years ago, but the words danced before my eyes. They wouldn't stay still. It was like I was looking at a language I'd never learned. I tried to think. I strained to remember. Was it butter first or eggs? Do I add the vanilla now? But what terrified me wasn't forgetting the recipe. It was not knowing why I was even there. I looked around the familiar kitchen and felt like a stranger in someone else's home. I didn't recognize the spice jars. I couldn't remember which drawer held the forks. I didn't know why the oven light was on. The scent of melted butter on the floor felt like a memory shattered, spilled, smudged, impossible to gather back up. I walked out of the house. No coat, no keys. Just walked, as if something inside me was being pulled away from the rest of me. And then, I didn't know where I was. It wasn't until a woman pulled over, rolled down her window, and asked, "Ma'am, do you need help?" that I realized I was standing in the middle of a busy road, my house slippers soaked with evening dew, and I had no idea how to get home. I opened my mouth to say my name, but it didn't come. There was no voice in my head saying, "Maggie, try to remember." No whisper to guide me. Only silence, terrifying, hollow silence, as if everything inside me had just been erased. That day, my daughter, Ellie, came to pick me up from the local police station. She hugged me tight, but her eyes were filled with confusion. She asked, "Mom, are you okay?" And I nodded. I smiled. I said, "I just got a little lost, that's all." But deep down, I knew. I wasn't just lost on the street. I had started getting lost inside my own mind. From that day forward, I never let go of my little ocean blue notebook. I carry it everywhere, in the pocket of my cardigan, in my purse, next to my pillow at night. It's become part of me. A life vest. A map. I started writing more. Not just thoughts or feelings, but every small detail of my day, mealtimes, phone calls, who visited, what I ate, what I did. I wrote down Ellie's reminders, phone numbers, my granddaughter's name. Even the lullaby I used to sing, I wrote it out line by line, like I was afraid it would vanish the moment I closed my eyes. Lila, my granddaughter, 6 years old, loves yellow, loves puppies, calls me Granny. Each word was a thread, and I was desperately trying to stitch back together the fabric that had begun to fray inside my head. I wrote with a quiet urgency. If one day I forget, these words will remind me who I am. But then, my handwriting started to change. At first, just a few spelling mistakes. I thought I was rushing. But then my hand began to tremble. Some letters leaned sideways. My sentences got tangled. One day, I opened the notebook and saw a whole page filled with the same line, over and over. I am here. I am here. I am here. And I didn't remember writing it. I didn't remember why I needed to say it. The pain didn't come from the forgetting. It came from knowing that I was forgetting. My mind feels like a house being battered by a storm. Each memory swept away is a room swallowed by the flood. I run from window to window, trying to shut them tight, trying to save the picture frames, the old letters, the laughter. But the rain keeps coming. Still, I try. I stick yellow labels on the sugar jar, red ones for the salt. I tape a photo of Lila next to the bathroom mirror, next to the words, "My beloved granddaughter." I talk to myself in the mirror. Today is Wednesday, April 12th. My name is Maggie. I'm 68 years old. I used to be a school teacher. I have a daughter, a granddaughter named Lila. I repeat it over and over like a song I'm trying to memorize because I know if I stop singing, the song will disappear. Some days, I look at my journal, my shaky, slanted handwriting no longer in straight lines, and I cry. Not because I'm afraid, but because I see it so clearly, the evidence of my own unraveling. Each line is another step down into the dark, and there's no way back up. But I keep writing, because if I stop, I don't know what will be left of me. That day, the sky was so clear. That sharp, aching kind of blue you only see when autumn wind has swept away the dust of summer. I remember sitting on the garden bench, a cup of chamomile tea in my hand, and Lila, my granddaughter, playing with her worn-out stuffed puppy by my feet. She ran up to me, cradling her toy, her hair clinging to her forehead, sweat glistening. She looked up and beamed. "Granny, Granny, look." I bent down. I smiled. And I said, "What's your name again?" She froze. Her smile vanished. Those wide, round eyes, the ones that always melted my heart, were now staring at me like I was someone strange, maybe even frightening, wearing the face of someone she used to love. I saw Ellie, my daughter, step out of the house, holding a glass of water. She stopped in her tracks when she heard me. "What did you say?" Ellie asked. Her voice soft, but something inside it was starting to break. And I was lost. "Mom, I was just kidding." I turned to Lila and took her hand. Granny was just teasing, sweetheart. Right? My little doll. But in my heart, I knew. It wasn't a joke. I had looked at that child, and for one heartbreakingly brief moment, I couldn't remember her name. Her name felt like a key I once held in my hand, and then, one morning, I dropped it without realizing. That night, Ellie came into my room. She didn't say a word. Just sat beside me. One hand gently held my frail fingers, the other smoothed the wool blanket on my lap. "You forgot her name, didn't you?" she asked, not needing an answer. I didn't know what to say. Tears fell, not loudly, just silently streaming down my cheeks. Ellie cried, too. We didn't hug. We didn't try to comfort each other. We just sat there, two women, two generations, grieving a pain that had no name, the sorrow of disappearing. Not the loss of someone else, but the gradual loss of yourself, piece by piece, while still being alive. From that day on, I began numbering the pages of my journal. I no longer trusted dates. I no longer believed I'd remember the order of things. But I wanted to record them. I wanted something to leave behind, so that when Lila grows up, if I can't remember her name, she can still read and see. Granny once remembered you. Granny once loved you. Granny was once Granny, the woman with lavender-scented hair and an open, joyful smile. Until the memories left. And she no longer knew who she was. There are moments when I sit by the window, looking out at the small yard, watching golden leaves fall silently with the wind. I've learned not to rush anymore. Not to try to hold on to each memory like someone catching radio signals in a stormy sea. I let them drift away like autumn leaves, gently, without resistance. I no longer see myself as a clock racing against time. Each passing day, I give myself the slowest of moments, savoring each breath, listening to the distant song of birds, feeling the warm sunlight filter through the windowpane. I put down the pen and let the words flow freely, not perfect, not complete. Sometimes my handwriting is clumsy, like falling petals. But each mark is mine, evidence of a journey toward peace. I write not to capture every moment, but to hold on to something deeper. Love. Love for my daughter, my granddaughter, for the life I have walked through, full of joy and sorrow. I've come to realize that memories aren't only what remains clear in the mind. They live in the stories told with the heart, in the presence of affection, in every gaze, every soft touch, every silent breath. I've begun to accept that I may forget my granddaughter's name, forget dates, forget the order of things. But I will not forget how to love. It's a gentle surrender, like the final leaf of the season, no longer clinging to the branch, but letting go, floating down the stream, returning to its roots. And I am learning to let go without giving up. Every morning, when the first rays of sunlight slip through the window, I open my journal and touch the crooked letters that hold my heart. Each page is a fragment of a bigger picture, imperfect, but full of color and innocence. I no longer force myself to remember everything. I'm learning to feel each moment as it comes. Some days, I write about Lila's bright smile as she runs into my arms, the birdsong outside the garden, the smell of fresh-baked bread in the kitchen. Other times, my writing is jumbled, scattered, like the sighs of a tired soul. But still, I write. I write as if speaking to myself, so I never lose my way in this maze of memory. My journal is no longer a life raft. It has become a small lantern, lighting each step I take. Through every page, I see I am not alone. Love surrounds me, in the people I cherish, in days long gone, and even within myself. I realize that even if memory fades, love never does. Love is a small, enduring flame, warming the soul, guiding me through the thickest darkness. And I begin to understand that holding on to myself isn't about clinging to every memory. It's about learning to love who I am, even as that self may change, blur, or someday disappear. Each journal entry is a quiet reminder. I am still here. I still love. And I am still me in my own way. There are moments when memory vanishes like a candle flame snuffed out by a gentle breeze. Suddenly, I find myself lost in a vast room, no familiar face in sight. I call my granddaughter's name, but the sound feels like an echo from a faraway place, a place I can no longer reach. And yet, in that silence, I hear my heart. It still beats, still stirs, still loves endlessly. Love is not memory, not names or dates. Love is breath. It's a glance, a tender, wordless touch. In that moment, I know I am not lost. I am simply living differently now, in a rhythm slower, deeper. I don't need to remember everything. I just need to feel it. To feel the love radiating through each breath, each moment with my granddaughter. Even if her name has quietly faded from my mind. I've learned to let go of the fear of losing myself, so I can embrace the peace of the present moment. I know that even as memories fade, love will always remain. Because true love is that invisible thread connecting my heart to those I cherish. And in the moment I fully surrendered, I found myself again, a simpler version of me, one that doesn't need a trove of memories, just love. I smiled, eyes closed, feeling the gentle sunlight pour into the palms of my hands. And I knew I'm still here, still Lila's grandmother, still Maggie, still someone who has something to give, love, patience, and faith. As fear and unfamiliarity began to seep into my life, my family couldn't just stand by and watch me struggle alone. My daughter, Anna, started spending more time with me, like a soft guiding light through the blurred days of memory. Each morning, she would come to me with a warm smile, gentle as the first light of dawn. "Mom, let's write in the journal together," she'd say, her voice tender but persistent. And I realized, though memories may fade, her love and patience never will. Even little Lila, though still so young, began to understand that Grandma couldn't remember things the way she used to. Still, she would patiently call my name and run to hug me when her mother wasn't home. My family began to learn how to slow down, to listen more closely, to love one another in an entirely new way, not through words, but through presence. I saw the light steps of my daughter and granddaughter as steady companions on the path I could no longer walk alone. Together, we continued writing the story of our lives, not with perfect memories, but with love that kept growing. I may no longer be the perfect grandmother they remembered, but I am still the steady source of love amid change and challenge. And I know now I am not alone. Because in this journey, family is the guiding light, the anchor that lets me keep living and loving, one day at a time. Life doesn't always flow gently, like the pages of the journal I still write in. There are days when fear overwhelms me more than ever, when my granddaughter's name slips from my mind, when I stand in a familiar room and forget why I came. I feel like a small boat tossed by rough waves, lost in a vast sea. Anna looks at me with eyes full of pain and worry, but never anger. She doesn't scold or question. She simply takes my hand and whispers, "Mom, it's going to be okay. We're in this together." I've learned that in the most fragile moments, patience is the golden key that opens the door to peace. Not just for me, but for those who love me, so they can patiently wait for me to return, piece by piece. That kind of patience doesn't come from perfection. It comes from unconditional love. From my daughter's gentle eyes, from my granddaughter's warm embrace, and from within my own heart, which opens wider each day. In those difficult days, I've also learned to forgive myself. To forgive the broken memories, the unfinished journal entries, the inevitable moments of confusion and loss. I've come to understand that life doesn't always give us control, but we can always choose how we face it, with patience, with love, and with courage. And in those moments, I find a new kind of strength, not from sharp memory, but from a heart that still beats strong, still yearns to live and to love. In the days when it felt like my memory was slowly slipping away, my family found ways to hold on tighter and treasure the simple moments we still had together. Anna began bringing home old photos, handwritten cards, even little video clips of us laughing without a care in the world. "Mom, look, this was Lila's birthday party last year," she said, her eyes lit with joy. As I looked at those images, a quiet emotion stirred inside me. Even if names and dates slip away, love and simple moments live on in every breath, every shared glance. Lila, with all the innocence and honesty of childhood, still gives me tight hugs, bright smiles, as if to remind me that love never needs an explanation. Together, we began to create new routines, dinners filled with laughter, walks in the park where I didn't need to remember everyone's name, only the warmth of their hands in mine. Each day, I learned to accept change, to understand that connection doesn't come only from perfect memories, but from love in the here and now, from genuine presence. Through this journey, my family has grown stronger, more resilient, not because we've forgotten about illness, but because we've chosen to keep writing our life story in a new language, the language of the heart. And I, the grandmother who once feared losing herself completely, now feel found again in the warm embrace of family, a place that will never forget me, even if my memories begin to fade. In the hazy days, when memories vanish like distant stars, I've come to realize something quietly miraculous. That hope still exists, threading its way through every crack in the soul. Each morning, even when I can't quite remember where I am or what day it is, I still see the soft sunlight streaming through the window, wrapping around me. With a warm embrace, like a gentle reminder, life still goes on, and it's still beautiful. Anna stayed by my side with unwavering patience, softly guiding me through the shattered pages of memory, turning dark days into moments full of meaning. Little Lila, with a smile as bright as the sun, would run up and hug me tightly, as if to say, "Grandma, you're still here with me." I began to understand hope isn't something distant or grand. It lives in every loving glance, every hand that never lets go, every laugh that fills our small home. Even as memories begin to fade, hope, love, and connection will always light the path ahead. I've learned to slow down, to cherish each moment as it comes, no longer trapped by the past or fearful of the future. Because now I know, hope is the lantern that lights my soul, a light that never goes out. And in that light, I've found peace. I've found myself, even in a body and mind that have changed. Gradually, in the blurred moments of memory, I realized I was changing, not just in the jumbled pages of my journal, but in a spirit that had grown softer, lighter, full of forgiveness and calm. I no longer cling to the past like someone caught in a spider's web. I've learned to let go of what can't be held. On days when I forget my granddaughter's name, I still know how to love her with my eyes, with every sincere embrace. I find joy in the simplest things, a warm cup of tea, a soft melody, or the birdsong drifting in through the morning window. My family has changed too. They've grown more patient, more understanding, not rushing to explain things, but offering their quiet presence, and that's enough. Some days, I feel a deep connection so strong that I know, even if my memory fades, love remains unshakable. It's these small changes that have created a new life, not perfect, but full of warmth and hope. I've gradually come to accept myself, to stop resisting, and instead to gently blend into life with deeper awareness. And in that transformation, I've found strength not in a perfect memory, but in a heart filled with love and peace. Now, even though the pages of my journal are messy, the handwriting no longer neat, and I can't remember all my grandchildren's names, I still remember what love feels like. To those of you listening to my story, I want to share a quiet but powerful message. Never take the present moment for granted. Because memory doesn't always last, but love transcends time and forgetfulness. Hold your loved ones close. Say, I love you today. None of us know what tomorrow holds. I've learned that no matter how life twists and turns, even if we forget the names of those we hold dearest, the heart still remembers. The heart still knows how to love, to forgive, to connect. I may not remember my granddaughter's name, but I still feel her smile, see her eyes, and sense the warmth in every hug. And that is the most precious thing of all, a gentle melody echoing through the soul, even when the world outside feels unfamiliar. Hold on to love and hope, for they are the lights that guide each of us through life's long journey. And if there's one thing I hope you remember, it's this. Even when memory fades, love endures. There were moments when I thought I had lost everything, my name, my memories, even myself, lost in the maze of confused days. But step by step, I came to see, I am not just what I've forgotten. I am made of all the love I've ever given and received. I found myself not in the smudged pages of my diary, but in my granddaughter's tender gaze, in the laughter echoing through our little home. Love, patience, and forgiveness, these are the compass guiding me back to who I am. With each passing day, I've learned to accept, to live with the blank spaces in my memory, and to know that I am still a grandmother, still a mother, a daughter, a friend within this family. The world may change. My memory may fade, but the light of love still shines brightly in my heart, lighting the way as I rediscover myself. I am no longer afraid of forgetting, because I've found something far more precious, peace within, and a deep trust that I am never truly alone. Take a deep breath, my dear, feel each breath, each passing moment, like petals drifting on the wind. Life isn't just about the memories we hold on to, it's about the moments we live and feel right now. I was once afraid, confused, watching fragments of memory slip away. But now I've learned to let go, to give love without needing it returned, to welcome life in all its simplicity. Each day, I float like a leaf on the river of life, no longer rushing, no longer grasping, just being, just loving. The little things, a child's laugh, the morning sun, the scent of a flower on the balcony, have become the anchors of my soul. Maybe I can't remember everyone's name. Maybe I can't retell yesterday's stories. But I know, in each breath, I am living fully, deeply. And you, listening to this story, take a quiet moment for yourself to see that life can still be beautiful, even when we can't remember it all. Let your mind unwind and allow your heart to receive each passing moment as the most precious gift. Because in the end, it's the present moment that is truly where we live, fully, meaningfully. As the soft light of late afternoon drapes across the window, I sit beside my scattered journal pages, reflecting on the journey I've traveled, not just through memory, but through love, perseverance, and hope. I no longer remember my grandchild's name, but I've learned something far more valuable than any memory: the power of unconditional love, the strength of acceptance, and the grace of living each moment fully. Life may take many things from us, our memory, our time, our strength, but it can never take away the light within our hearts, the flame of faith and aliveness. I've come to understand that loss isn't the end. It's a turning point, an invitation to rediscover ourselves and open our hearts to the simple things we once overlooked. Even in the days when I can't recall names or tiny details, I still feel a deep connection, a quiet love that breathes through every glance, every breath. And if you're hearing this story, I want you to remember, no matter what life brings, no matter how memory may fade, love and the appreciation of each fleeting moment will always light your way. Hold on to that, just as I hold on to these journal pages, just as I hold on to the love I have for my family, even if my memory drifts away. And above all, know this: you right here, right now, are the author of your own story, written with each breath, each feeling, each unforgettable love.